Welcome back, WNST, Taos from Baltimore and Baltimore Positive. We're merging streams between WNST and the new website. We'll have all of that out for you later in the week. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Taharka Ice Cream. I got the vanilla bean here, but I'm going all in. I'm going peanut butter cup here with the mini peanut butter cups mixed in. Says so right on the label, as well as our friends at Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, making sure you're watching that football game at home this weekend. I found out from the Ravens that only one seat will be available for the WNST contingent, which means Lucas Jones will be attending the game this week. This guy here has attended a lot of games, and along with former county executive Don Moeller, who I sit with at Section 513, Don and I watched Michael Reghi call many, many games for the Baltimore Orioles back in the day. And as we are merging these sports and leadership conversations, I said to Moeller, you want to talk to Reghi, right? We got to talk football and baseball and old school and Cal Ripken and all that stuff. Michael, how are you? Staying safe on the shores of the Great Lake Erie up there? What's going on in Cleveland?
Nestor, Don, great to be in communique with you guys. Yeah, you know, we're all grinding it out here in Cleveland, as you call it, Nestor. So you got to make it happen, right?
Well, I think more than anything, this is weird for all of us. And Don and I have spent so much time talking about mayors and presidents and elections and city and all the things going on here. Just the relative weirdness of this point in all of our lives. And you guys got a few years on me, but
rub it in.
This pause for a guy like you that calls games, is at games, and basketball games, and football games, and it's all you've ever done, it's all I've ever done. Having this taken away from us, it's something that I think was inconceivable for most of us, right?
Yeah, it's very tough, Nestor. I mean, listen, I'm not going to. We always speak the truth to one another. I mean, I haven't called a game now since March the 12th. You know, college basketball conference tournaments, and hopefully in October I'm going to get a few college football games again with Espen. But because of the pandemic and the things that have resulted from it, yeah, I mean, so many conferences that I do, the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference, the Mountain West, they've all shut down. There 28 less football, Division I football games, in the FBS, 130 FBS teams, and only about 70 some odd are currently playing. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. It tests your mettle, so to speak, Nestor. No doubt about it.
For the Browns and this game, right? So I'm calling. We can go big picture, small picture, but I'm on with you because they're playing football this week. I would not have told you that in April or May or June. I probably still don't think it's a great idea. In your state, and Don, your jaw's going to drop, all right? Because I've talked to a couple of Browns people already. They're playing high school football everywhere. They're not playing college football, but they're playing high school football.
Right.
And they're going to allow 6,000 people into the stadium. And I learned that they're going to let 1,500 people in each quadrant of the stadium. Who says we don't mix sports with politics around here, Reghi? Yeah, how about that, huh?
Well, yeah, that's for both the Browns and the Bengals. Both Governor Mike DeWine came out with that, I believe it was on Friday of last week. So, yeah, that's what it's going to be, 6,000 in each. Now you got, about 79,000 at Cleveland Browns Stadium. So, yeah, you're right. The quadrants, 1,500 in each of the four quadrants, and there you go. But as you said, I mean, I'm just pleased that, we know that the NFL, they're staying staunch about everything. I'm just very hopeful and praying, Nestor, that they can finish. I mean, they're going to start it, and let's hope we can get through this 2020 season without too much spiking going on, and everyone's health and safety as, the preeminent thought each and every week.
Well, Michael, we're going to talk with Kevin Burns shortly, and we certainly are going to talk about the NFL and the Ravens and how that feels and how it's going to look. Just curious, from your perspective, one of the discussions I had this morning with one of my grandsons who stopped by on a break in his digital world. He had a little bit of time between his digital classes. But we talked about the impact of no fans in the stands. And even if you put, as you said, even if you put 6,000 fans in the stand, it's no fans. So it's going to be a minimal amount of fans or no fans. What effect, if any, Michael, from your point of view, is that going to have on the game itself? I have some thoughts, but I'd like to get your thoughts.
I believe it definitely has an effect on. I mean, I don't see how it cannot. I mean, we know what home field advantage can be, and I mean, we know that it's definitive and that it's strong. I mean, you can't tell me at M&T Bank Stadium that, well, you know, when the Ravens got an opponent there on their turf at home, that's not, you know, a big time advantage for them with how electric that stadium is. And, you know, I believe in most cases every NFL stadium is that way. So, you know, a lot of the players seem to think, well, you know, this is yeah, it's going to be different. It's definitely a new course of play for them, obviously, and how they're going to make that. Our home games going to be the norm. Our home games now going to be what, as we said, they always have been in the National Football League, where that there's an advantage to be gained there. Don't know. I guess we're going to start finding out, but I don't like it. I mean, I'd find it very difficult to be able to you know, get yourself in the same mental capacity, and because you know, players feed off fans. I mean, they say they don't, but they do, and we're going to see how that all plays out.
Well, Nestor, that's the point that you and I have talked about a little bit on and off air, and I think, Michael, I think you're making my point. I've put out there, and we won't know for a couple of weeks, but my gut says that what it means, and I think this is what you're alluding to, is that the proverbial chalk will win this time. In other words, it seems to me that if 30-some teams are basically playing at neutral sites every week. I mean, the field's the same size, right? It's 100 yards.
Well, look at what it does for gambling, right? I mean, gambling and fantasy and eating Rofo chicken and drinking beer, you know, the things that people want to do that they usually do. Like, Don, you gather, you don't go to road games. I go to road games every week. You've maybe never been to a road game, or only a handful. You're used to watching it at home. That's going to be the experience for everybody every week, right? But I think third down for Baker Mayfield on Sunday is just a whole lot different, as it will be next week when I'm up on the roof in Houston. Will be for Lamar Jackson working on third down and fourth down, by the way, because the Ravens go on fourth down. I mean, the Ravens play a different style of football. Fourth down in Houston next week, fourth and a foot next week for Lamar in Houston, way, way different than it would be with 72,000 people in the stadium.
But easier, right? I think that's my point, Nestor and Michael, is that
it's an equalizer, right?
It seems to me we are going to find out, as I said, very, very soon. But I think this is what Michael's alluding to. It seems to me that the Kansas Cities, the Baltimores, the Pittsburghs, the Cowboys, the 49ers, it seems to me that in this new world of 2020, they should have an easier time of it. Because when you're trying to stop Lamar, or you're trying to stop Patrick Mahomes, you're trying to stop Ben Roethlisberger, you rely at home, and Nestor, you indicate that the gamblers in Vegas certainly
You and
do.
I in 513 are part of getting Baker Mayfield off the field in Baltimore, right? In the same way that the Cleveland fans are there to harass Lamar in December. They might be there. And Michael, this does speak to competitive disadvantage. And you and I have done this professionally forever. The thing that every coach hates the most is when the field's not level, when the other guy's cheating, or Belichick's got monkeys in the woods with the cameras or whatever. Now we got 7-inning games, guys starting on second base in baseball. You know, the football thing, you know, you're going to have fans in your stands and we're not. Everything is thrown off by this. And I think Goodell even spoke to this last week about it's just not going to be a level playing field. It's not. Things are not going to be equal and equitable to talk about education.
No, not at all. And a quick aside, please be very careful when you're up in the clouds at Reliance Stadium.
Oh, it's unbelievable up there, isn't it?
Because I've been there with one false step, Nestor, and
straight down.
Yeah,
straight down.
Be careful, my man.
I've told everybody of all the places I'm going to get to go and sit in an empty stadium for the first time and watch a game, because I'm not going here this week. Luke's going to use our pass. I'm going to go down to Houston. It is a press box to be marveled. I mean, Don, It's like the Wonkavator. I mean, it is to the moon. The only one that marvels is the Fenway press box. Fenway press box is straight down.
Straight down.
You can't tell a ball or a strike in Boston.
No, it's tough, man. To try calling the game there was tough. You're right there above home plate. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of looking straight down on people's heads. I'd rather have a little bit of a perspective.
There's not going to be anybody's head in the Reliant, though. I mean, pulling up to these empty stadiums where there's no barbecue, no tailgate, it's going to almost be like what Bob Trumpy had in '96. Remember that? The empty, cold hot dogs, empty roads to and from the ballpark. I broke these out last week, 24th anniversary.
That's cool. Bob Trumpy reference. Very cool.
Well, this old Cleveland-Cincinnati thing, I know. You're Detroit anyway, but
I got you.
But empty stadiums and broadcasting and being there, we've reached a surreal point here, right?
Absolutely. Totally different deal. Like I said, I mean, I've been trying to be, now we're in the 7th month of this, correct? We've started 7 months of this, 6 full months. And
March 13th, right? Friday the 13th.
So Friday,
easy one to remember.
The
March the 13th.
Yeah, that's right, Don. So, I mean, again, it's, for people like us, this is what we've done, as Nestor alluded to. I mean, I'm starting my 44th year now as a professional broadcaster. So, I mean, this is me. This is what I am, who I am, what I do. And it's difficult to try to, again, the last thing I wanted to do, I'm a safety, health first, of course. I understand. It's just that, by taking sports away or having it in this particular isolated situation, it's taken a lot for everybody to get used to. I'm not sure we'll ever really get used to this. And of course, the question that is going to remain is, how much longer is this going to be like this?
Well, Michael, you're an NBA guy. I mean, you love the NBA. You broadcast the NBA for years. What's your sense of how the bubble has played out and how that experience has been for the game?
Yeah, well, they, and again, I'm not there, so I don't have any firsthand knowledge with, what the bubble's idiosyncrasies are, maybe. Now, of course, the NBA is going to tell you that it's been tremendous. It has allowed them to resume their season and play. They're of the mindset that otherwise it could not happen. The NHL went into a couple of venues to resume, right? And now I thought, Nestor, did I not see something this weekend that Major League Baseball, at least Rob Manfred, they're considering it bubble, meaning for the playoffs? Did I see that?
Yes, yeah. Maybe basing in Dallas or basing somewhere. Yeah.
So there you go. Now you take it away, all the teams that make the playoffs now, they're not going to be able to play at home if that becomes a happen.
But home, but again, Michael, go back to the point. What is home? It's not 49,000
right. Yeah.
Jammed into Camden Yards.
Michael, if you were still the broadcaster, you'd have to go to Orlando, leave your family for 2 months to go down there and call a game every third day, right? I mean, if you were a part of that world, right? And
now the national, the ESPN, the Turner broadcasters and production crews are there.
Right.
The locals, though, they did that 8-game deal to what they called to finish the regular season, the NBA.
Right.
Now, they didn't. Those broadcasters did not go down there. They did it from their production studios, either inside the NBA arena or in their home city.
Well, Ben McDonald and Garceau and Bordick and, they're going to the stadium,
right,
Camden Yards, whether the team's at home or not. They use that as the set, right? And
that's it.
And we've talked about Garceau, and I know Moeller's talked about this. Scott hasn't called baseball in 30 years, and now he's calling fly balls that he can't see.
I think he's done. I think he deserves a medal, because I think, as Nestor said, having been away from it and now trying, as we do in our living rooms, to see if the ball off the bat is a home run or a warning track fly ball.
Reminds me of my dad sitting upstairs at Memorial Stadium where every ball went up in the air. It was a home run, right?
Home run, yeah.
I think Scotty's done just an amazing
Right.
job just sitting here. We talked to Ken Singleton about how challenging that is. You know, the other thing, Michael, while we've got you, you know, it's again, we're with longtime Oriole announcer Michael Reghi, ESPN, college basketball, college football, you name it. If you know sports, you know Michael Reghi. Michael, when you were covering the Orioles, they had that one great year, right? 97.
97. That was my first year, Don.
Right. You brought them luck.
Yeah.
You got them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I got them there, right?
They beat the Mariners, and then they broke our hearts against Cleveland.
I'm going to blame it all on John Miller. That's what I'm doing today.
John
Miller, it's your fault.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
well, take us back, because then you were here for 6 more years or so, and it went off a cliff. Davey Johnson went off. The whole thing went off the rails. What happened, Michael, in the rearview mirror? What the hell happened?
Ooh, look at the time.
How much time do we have for that? You know, I do think that once that group happened, Davey, you know, I don't think that Davey continued with, you know, he seemed to me that, you know, he lost a little bit of his desire.
Well, Michael, let me stop you, because Nestor beat me up. He always says I'm way too PR oriented is his word. So he'll say you're too PR oriented.
They didn't take his press pass 14 years ago for telling the truth. They took mine.
I'm not going to sugarcoat this, Michael. You were around it.
I was there.
And the rumors were strong that Davey would basically breeze in a little bit before game time and breeze out, and really
that wasn't a rumor. That was a fact.
Well, that's why I'm asking, Michael.
I like Davey a lot. I really do. And again, I thought he's a hell of a manager, man. But yeah, no, that's factual. You know, there were times it'd be you know, an hour, maybe 75 minutes before game time, before first pitch, and you know, you're walking in the line, there's no Davey. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that, and at the time,
it was as much a protest as anything at that time, right? He was just at such at odds with it. It was just his way of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think there's anything more or less than that, honestly.
No, I would say that was at the core of it. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think there were some personnel moves made that he didn't like, and guys that he wanted that weren't either acquired or obtained. But, you know, then again, but after that, those next few years, you know, I'm into Ray Miller. And then my guy, Mike Hargrove, came in following that. And I, Nestor, I've told you this, Mike and I had a long, because of course we knew each other from here in Cleveland, you know, while he was a player, and, you know, I was doing things for the Indians. So, yeah, I mean, that whole thing just did not go well. I do not think many of the veteran players at that time, I don't think they were at all happy with that managerial choice. And I think it showed as those 3 years went on.
Well, you know, it's funny, Michael, because the Messina thing, and I've been going through all sorts of pictures and NST Classic stuff as I merge the brands for all the stuff I've done, going back to Art Modell and Ray Lewis when the team came here, and the glory days when you were here, the Orioles and Messina and Cal. And then I say Cal, you know, we had Cal on Baltimore Positive about 3 months ago, and little did we know at the time he was talking to us. He had cancer and was fighting cancer, right? Like that came out later. Right. And then last week, you know, was the 25th anniversary of the big game and all of that. You know, I want to put this in a bigger perspective. You know, I went to China with Cal, and I'm putting those pictures and videos up now. That's been 13 years since I went to China with Cal, which is incredible. How important is sports for all of us? I mean, I think we're going to ask ourselves that question this weekend on Thursday night, Sunday. We're all going to gather. We're all going to watch the NFL. I mean, they're going to do a 90s. Whatever the share is, what the hell else do you have to do? Everybody's going to watch their team this week play football. And I guess the question is, Cal Ripken in the streak and the tears, and Don was still crying the other night, and I'm over it. It feels a little trite to me at this point, 25 years later, where I'm wearing a mask and we're trying to figure out who's running our government and all that stuff.
I'm going to cry every time he's running around that field. Nestor, if I'm still here 15 years from now, I'm going to cry.
It's who
when
he
he's
is.
running.
It's who he. And Michael, in all sincerity, I remember you celebrating the LeBron win. Okay, in a huge way. I have pictures here. I have my Mike Flanagan Cuba Orioles thing up over here, but I used to have my 50-yard line Super Bowl picture from Tampa on my wall, right? Yep. And, I have a leg lamp from Cleveland, for crying out loud here, my Dundalk Hall of Fame artwork. But, I could crowd the thing in here with all this really cool stuff I've done with sports or what it means to me. I got to be honest, man, the last 6 months, I've questioned, and probably when my wife was dying the first time, I started to ask how all this started, which was, man, what's really important? What's real? Because in 1997, there was nothing more important than who Davey Johnson was bringing out of the bullpen. Sure. Whether it was in my life, it just felt in my veins like the most important thing ever. Man, I can't get that mojo up for Lamar on Sunday, and it's a shame. It's awful. It's called being a grown-up and all of that stuff. But I think we're all seeing sports do something different.
Wait a minute.
Here's where Don's going to jump in.
Wait a minute. We're going to get our guest in here, but I'm pushing back on that, Michael. It's not about – Michael, you're going to have to referee this because Nestor and I have this battle all of the time.
Yeah.
It's not about being a grown-up. It's about – whether or not you view sports as a diversion and entertainment and a break from the daily grind, a break from COVID.
At 1 o'clock on Sunday, it will be. It'll be an opiate for the masses.
So then you will be jazzed up. And I do get excited when Dean Kramer comes in and pitches 6 great innings and Keegan Aiken shows promise. I do say, whoa. There is light at this end of the tunnel. So it's not being not a grown-up. It's saying, look, sports are an important part of our culture, and they're something that brings family and neighbors together. Doesn't mean you should go out and go crazy. And you and I talked about a lot, Nestor, some of the people that sit around us in 513, Michael, I'm always worried if the Ravens lose, they're going home, beat the daylights out of their wife and kids. I'm going, that's not what it's all about.
No. But, however, though, the passion and the consumption of that passion with what your teams and the players of those teams, they do become a part of, especially, when you start to really fall in love with it as a kid. Guys, I mean, it's a part of who you are. It's a part of your character, your personality, your makeup, everything. And Nestor just said, I'll be sure there are times you feel like I better put the brakes on this a little bit.
Well, hey, man, it meant so much to me that I created a civic movement to walk out on the owner so that my city wasn't empty. And 15 years later, it did not work. Don is one of the few people that still cares at the level that he cares. And I'm wondering when the time comes back, how Don and everybody else is going to feel about dropping $400 to go downtown and go to a game. I know there'll be some people jonesing to do that, and there'll be some people that just moved on to Netflix or on to mowing their lawn or growing a garden, or my wife is taking up hiking, even though it's hurt her knees a little bit. But she, that's what she's doing, and I think people are going to move on from and some people might find sports again. Maybe. I don't know.
I've tried. It's not going too well for me.
Are you watching the NBA or are you not?
Now, you know what? I'm not. No. I watched.
Now that's interesting.
And I'm not watching hockey. And one of my best friends is coaching the Islanders. You know what I mean? I don't have 3 hours for it every night. I just don't. Not for the Islanders.
I don't either. It's that a little bit has.
It sucks to feel this way. It does.
Why is that? I want both of you. Both of you to talk about that because I think that's an interesting piece. And Nestor, I haven't heard you talk about.
His sister's
hockey.
A psychoanalyst. Watch him, Reghi. Watch him.
I haven't heard you talk about hockey that way. And Michael, you're a longtime NBA guy.
Well, as I've told, football's my favorite, though, Don.
Okay.
My favorite. Yes, I had great fortune of doing 14 years in the NBA and 8 in Major League Baseball. But football's always been my number one.
Now, let me ask you this, Michael, because it is basketball and it's where you're reaching. Tell Don and our audience the LeBron James you met 20 years ago. And you talk about social change, you talk about stepping out, you talk about mouthing off and not sticking to sports and and not sitting in the corner and maybe even the juxtaposition of that against Jordan. And Jordan had his TV series 4 months ago, whatever. But LeBron's like walking the walk, right? I mean, in a major political way, in the way the NBA's walking the walk, in the same way that Colin Kaepernick's been blackballed.
Yeah, well, he has, and I first met the kid when he was, 15-year-old sophomore in high school here in nearby Akron, Ohio, at St. Vincent St. Mary's. So, and then through his high school days, called a few of his high school games, but then, of course, he's the #1 overall pick with his hometown team, the Cavaliers. So,
he matters, though. You talk about sports mattering. What he's doing is mattering.
Yeah, it does, I think. And he's, listen, the thing about it is, I'm always going to stand up for the man or woman, the athlete. If you're willing to show the strong, eternal fortitude, because you're going to take some stuff now, right? I don't care what you say or what side you're on. It doesn't matter. There are people that are going to come after you and come after you hard. And I think I've always felt that, he understood that. I used to talk to him a lot about these type of things when he was, now he's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old in his first few years in the NBA. Was he as want then to all he wanted to do is hoop, man, and become the greatest player in the world?
Well, I mean, after the decision, he was my least favorite athlete. I spent a decade not liking him. And most people.
I was just going to say, then this town in 2000 and what would it have been? 2010. I mean, they just vilified him for making the decision to leave and go to the Miami Heat. So, there's a kid at that time, about 8 years. What was he at that time? I think he was about 26 years old. So now this is a whole new thing in his world now, from being adulated, right? Forever. And now you got people that are going to come after him and let him know what a piece of crap he is for leaving Cleveland. And so, he's been through a lot. I think he's been he is willing to be a mouthpiece more, for athletes. And, so yeah, good for him. I mean, it should mean a lot to him. And, I think he's got a lot on his plate with that as being the voice. And there are guys in the NBA are kind of, going after him too, with regard to maybe not wanting him to be the guy that speaks for all of them. So, a lot of things go with being LeBron James and athletes like him. And I don't think that's ever going to stop, but it's individually, right? You got to state your case and what you believe in and what you feel. And, if you do, whether I agree with you or not, you always got my respect.
Well, Michael, Nestor mentioned the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and I came away from that. I've said to a number of people that my respect for Phil Jackson grew tenfold, because I always knew Phil was a good coach. I don't know why I didn't know this. I should have, I guess. But I had no concept that in order to be an NBA coach with these athletes at this level, you needed to be Dr. Phil on steroids. I just had no concept of that. And I'm thinking of that in this day and age, whether you're a football coach, whether a baseball manager, whether you're a basketball coach.
County executive.
No, well, I'm not in those locker rooms, right? Michael, you've been in all those locker rooms. Take our listeners sort of behind the scenes and talk about the diversity. And I don't mean the racial diversity, the diversity of thought in those locker rooms, and coaches or managers that manage it well and some that don't. Give us some insight into that.
Number one, it's an extremely difficult profession to be in. And again, I think it takes someone, a man or woman, who is very, very willing to adapt on a daily basis. Because I'm telling you, there are things you might think that, this is stable for me, that when you go to bed that night, by the time you walk in there the next day, it might have completely changed. And you've got 10 more issues that you're dealing with. So, again, if you put the truth serum to all the men and women who are our head coaches, managers, what have you. It's a very taxing job emotionally, and I think that, and as the years have gone on, obviously now did Earl Weaver deal with the same things that Davey Johnson dealt with, and Ray Miller had to deal with, and Mike Hargrove dealt with? No, of course not. I mean, it's the same thing. Weave Eubank and Don Shula dealing with the same things every day, and I don't mean on the field things, right? I'm just talking about life things, social things that John Harbaugh is dealing with right now. Well, of course not. No, but again, you got to know what you sign up for now. And I've always felt that, especially how you, and it's not handling, people say, well, how do you handle not handling your players, how do you learn to live with them, and how do you learn to, you still have to look to get the very best that you can out of your team, but how you learn to go about that in this divided day and age with everything socially, politically, I mean, you name it. I mean, there's so much more than the X's and O's now, guys. And that's why, until I'm proven otherwise, again, now this is my old school coming out, a guy, but I'm always going to give, that head coach, that baseball manager, until I really see for myself 1,000,000% otherwise, I'm probably always going to give them a little bit of extra rope, because you just have no idea, Don. I hope I'm answering what you want.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we've all managed people, right? I mean,
yes,
you know what I mean? And
it's the same thing. It's no different. You can't do it today. You can't approach it today the same way you did 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's just nowhere near.
Does Belichick, Michael?
I
want to interrupt. I apologize for interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
I agree 100%, and I've always thought that I think John Harbaugh's a textbook case in that, and I think he's really grown in that area. I mean, he obviously had the skill set and he had the instincts, but he truly appears to be someone who's really grown in that people management area. The flip side of that, and you probably have more insight than I do, Nestor, you certainly do, is I always try to think of an outlier. Is Belichick an outlier? Is he still old school, or is he more new school than he would like us to believe?
I think the latter. I definitely believe the latter. Now, you could say that everything that you look at and see, the optics and everything you see on the surface is nothing but an old school guy. Again, the way the coaches that he came up with in the 60s and 70s do it. But, I would disagree with that. I think Bill Belichick has grown just exponentially in everything we're talking about.
Well, this is his best chance to grow. He's never won a game without Brady, right? So here we go, right? This is where growth happens, right?
It's like with Cam Newton, yeah, to be sure. But so, yeah, listen, I mean, it's not easy, and it's something that I think every day you got to, again, what applied yesterday might be a complete 180 for you, what you're going to have to do today. And I don't mean that has nothing to do with anything that's going on your field, your court, your ice. I mean, just more in your team, your players, and how you have to approach them, and how that you are going to coach or manage them. It's just so totally different day in and day out.
The great Michael Reghi joining us from the land of Cleve. You can follow him out on Twitter at Michael Reghi, of course, one-time and long-time voice of your Baltimore Orioles. Before I bid you see you later, I have to say, we get together every year. We get together twice a year, sometimes 3-4 times a year when the Cavaliers are doing well, sometimes Indians, Orioles, but the Browns still suck, right? I mean, you don't expect them to win this week.
Why don't you even ask me about that? I like Kevin Stefanski. I think, again, he's a first-time head coach, so we're going to see. Baker Mayfield's got to make a huge turnaround from where he was last year. And this run-oriented zone run game offense, I think, is going to give him a better chance, where he is not want to believe he's got to be firing the football 40 times a game, into disaster. So, we'll see. Defensive problems, there's some there, definitely. Linebacking core, not so sure about. But again, we're going to find out, how this all begins for them. I think they could be a 500 football team. I would hope that they can go 8-8, maybe 9-7, optimally. But again, are the rails going to come off? I don't think so, Nestor and Don, like they did with Freddie Kitchens last year. No.
Well, Moeller will tell you, I don't like most people, but I like you, Reghi, and I told Moeller that. So
he told me that, Michael. That was unusual.
Both
he started with that, and I said, "Holy hell, we found one that you actually like."
Love you, Reghi.
Hey, Nestor, hold on before you take us out of here.
Yeah, you get parting shot. I'll give you.
No, I want you to take us out in a minute, but I can't have Michael on without my baseball friends who are purists. Are aghast that I actually like a couple of the rule changes. Believe it or not, I love the extra inning thing with the little league guy on second base. Okay. I love it, and I'm a purist. And more than that,
No, you're not.
I know. No, I'm not. Well, I do like the lack of it. I do. But here's
you're also in denial.
No, but here's the other one. You guys are really going to blow me up. I think baseball, given the paucity of starting pitching, and it's not coming back the way we knew it. There aren't going to be Palmer and Seaver aren't suiting up tomorrow. I think the idea of 7-inning games, both for people's attention span, to get young kids interested again, I think it has meant. Now, I know people hate it, but I have loved the double headers where the pressure's on from the first out. Go ahead, tear me up, Mr. Reghi.
I'm not going to tear you up. I mean, again, it's about respect, man. It's just, I'm not going to agree with you. I don't agree with you on starting with a runner at second base to begin an extra inning, nor do I watch 7-inning games. I'll just leave it at that.
I didn't play that at T-ball.
They didn't have that at Colgate.
No, we didn't play at Colgate Elementary. We played 7-inning games because we weren't in the big leagues. That's why. Michael Reghi, longtime broadcaster. Always great to visit with you. I'm sorry we're not going to elbow bump. And if I do get in there in December, we don't have social distancing. I got a great breakfast place over at Tremont. Come on down. We'll go to the Christmas Story House together. We'll do a thing. We'll eat cookies together or something. How about that?
Absolutely. Right? Don, great to talk to you as well.
Great seeing you again, Michael.
Stay healthy. Stay well, man, okay? Always good to be with you.
Stay safe out there in the land of Cleveland. There he goes. Michael Reghi, longtime voice of Home Team Sports. And see you later. You can find Don Moeller and I out at Baltimore Positive. We're merging the streams of WNST and Baltimore Positive at some point this week. Hopefully this weekend it'll all happen. Luke's out at the ballpark, and Luke's in Owings Mills, and Luke's online, and we're all together in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, everywhere we are, from State Fair in Catonsville to those Faidley's crab cakes that we can ship to Michael Reghi out on the shores of Lake Erie, and Moeller and Gary Realty as well. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking. Baltimore Positive.